Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing a GeForce RTX 4070 Super in Black Myth Wukong, as well as a little something from today's video sponsor, Meze Audio. Yes guys, everything you hear today will be coming from this little microphone. It's their new boom mic, and from what I heard in some audio samples that I took, it is absolutely fantastic for its size. That's what she said. It retails for $79 US, and it's also available in a bundle with their 99 Neos headphones, which I'm also wearing today, and it's also compatible with some other Meze headphones like the 99 Classics that I used for a really long time here in the channel. Check them out in the link down below in the description, and let's move on with the 4070 Super. This one is the Founders Edition model of the card. We are running it with the latest Nvidia drivers as usual, and I'm not manually overclocking it. You can see all of its specs right here in Tech Power-Up's GPU-Z. Resizable bar is also enabled, and over on the left I'm pairing it with a Ryzen 9 7950X 3D CPU with half of its cores disabled, making it pretty much the same as a Ryzen 7 7800X 3D and 32GB of DDR5 6000MHz RAM in dual channel. Let's get into it, shall we? Alright, let's go over the settings first. I am starting at 1080p resolution using DLSS set to 100%, which means that it's using DLAA and it's native resolution, and ray tracing is turned off at the moment, and I'm utilizing Hardware Unboxed optimized settings for quality. Oh, what a breath of fresh air, guys, after that GTX 1650 video. Holy! I might even be able to kill this boss right here. I'm not sure, actually. Let's try it out first. Okay, so we're seeing some traversal stuttering as usual. That will happen from time to time in this game. It's a UE5 title after all. But as you can see, if you're playing at 1080p resolution, there's no need to utilize... Uh-oh. I'm starting very badly. Okay, wait. Okay, there we go. Let's do this. There is no need to utilize upscaling or frame generation or anything like that at this resolution, because it's going to do a great job here. The 4070 Super. Okay, I need to heal myself. There we go. Oh my gosh. I remember, I need to kill this guy twice. That's the real big issue here. I managed to kill him once already with the 4080 Super, I think. But then he just transforms into something even harder to kill. So, I might not be able to do this in this video, guys. Okay, unfortunately, I have already drank all of my potions, the health potions, so yeah, it's very likely that I won't be able to do it. Oh, it's dropping from 60 FPS, guys. Just like we saw with the RTX 4080 Super at times. This, somehow I'm managing to avoid him. Sometimes whenever you go into the fiery guy form, or you get out of it, it kind of slows down like crazy. Just keep that in mind. The game will slow down every now and again, every time you do some of the attacks, the special attacks. Let's go this way, this time around, start counting our FPS, see a little bit of a calmer area, calmer scenario, you know, which is probably great for the microphone as well. I mean, I'm not even sure how the audio is coming out of this thing, because I have never recorded an entire video with it. I just know that it sounds very good standalone, like when I'm not doing anything, but here it might be a completely different story. I doubt it, because it actually did pretty well when I screamed. Anyways, let's keep on going here, try to get this bastard. Come on, heavy attack him, heavy attack. Why do you take so long to heavy attack him? It takes really long to register sometimes. Oh boy, do not hit me with your poison. Jesus Christ, these guys are like the easiest ones to kill, supposedly, aside from the skeleton ones. But yeah, I struggle against them. How am I going to kill two bosses? Oh boy, this is gonna be crazy. Alright, anyway, kill these guys over here. Go into the fire form again. There it is, and yep, FPS drops again into the 50s whenever that happens. But I wouldn't really bother with that, you know. Don't use any upscalers or frame generations over the native resolution at 1080p. It will end up looking a little bit too bad, in my opinion. So, yeah, just avoid that. Play this game at native 1080p if you have a 1080p monitor with this card. But it's likely that you are running a 1440p display instead. And that's what I recommend with this GPU, actually. So, I'm gonna stop it right there for 1080p resolution. And here we have it. Alright, 1440p is now applied. We're using DLSS 100% still, so native resolution, and the same settings from Hardware Unboxed optimized for best visuals to performance ratio, targeting quality instead of performance. They also have a performance preset that I will likely try out next because this is already in the 60s, so that means that when fighting bosses and stuff like that, it will inevitably drop, right? It dropped at 1080p, right? Oh boy! Alright, I'm fine, Come on, there we go. Oi, no, do not let him. No, my god! These should be very easy to avoid, actually, but we're getting lower than 60 FPS sometimes, so that's probably why I am dying here. Oh, I do have the frog. I totally forgot. Oh no, he avoided my frog. Also, yes, it's very weird if this is the first time that you're watching this. I am a monkey in this game who can turn into a frog. And a wolf as well. Anyway, let's go. And probably more things later on into this game as well. Maybe a serpent, because this guy actually turns into a serpent. Alright, come on. I am beating him. The bastard. Oh, no. Alright, his stone is turned into stone. Let's go. Fight him. Definitely not all that great with these FPS drops. Not that it matters, because skill matters more, obviously, but I would like to see 60 plus, especially with such an expensive GPU. Unfortunately, to get those 60 plus, we need some DLSS, guys. And previously, I actually tested it with like 80% resolution scale here, but apparently the game is broken. If you set it to like 90%, it sets itself to 100% by default. It selects DLAA there, and whenever it says quality there, it's just using 67%, which is the quality preset. So no matter what you use between 62 and 90, it's always set to 67. It's very weird, I know. Turning on DLSS might actually help this quite a lot. Yep, it delivers pretty much the same FPS that we saw at 1080p resolution. I'm not confident, guys. I don't think I can actually fight the boss right now, so let's go back here and use our fiery boy in just a little bit, see how much it drops to, right? It's also very intensive, and walk around the forest. Yeah, you know what? I'm even going to avoid all of these guys, because I don't want to lose a lot of HP here. I kind of want to continue to the other section of the map where I played previously, because it did drop quite a lot previously at 1080p into the lower 50s, and we're seeing kind of the same thing happening here, although it's not dropping by as much, I guess. And it kind of makes sense because DLSS quality at 1440p resolution is a little bit lower resolution than 1080p native, although it's usually a little bit more intensive when it comes to performance. God damn it! Ah, stop it! Okay, let's go. Okay, let's use this. Fight the bastard! Fight the... Look at this! They should make an easy mode for this game. I would be so happy with that. You know what? I don't care about you anymore, buddy. Anyway, if you're fine with the odd drop here and there from 60 frames per second whenever you turn yourself into the fiery boy, it is going to perform just fine using these settings. And I think at 1440p I would actually recommend and play with these settings if this was my main GPU. And well, right now it is my main GPU because in reality I don't have a main GPU. I usually say it's the 4080 Super because it's the fastest GPU that I own, but in reality I'll just play with whatever I have in the system at the moment. All of these 40 series GPUs are very capable for the games I play, like Dota 2, CS2, some Battlefield 2042 sometimes, Delta Force these days, I like it. I'm gonna stop it right there. 96 FPS average and 55 1% lows is what we get with these settings. Now another option that you have to improve your FPS is turning frame generation on with 100% resolution scale at the same time. I don't recommend you to use DLSS quality plus FG at 1440p since the experience at 1440p quality DLSS is already pretty good, right? But you can always turn on FG without DLSS. Input lag wise it will be a little bit worse. It's almost not noticeable actually compared to what we saw previously, and apparently FPS wise it is a little bit higher than what we saw at quality DLSS, so there are some gains to be had, I guess, on a high refresh rate monitor. This also looks very, very good right now. Yeah, this game sometimes can look very pretty, you know. Also, the frame generation, whenever you are running through bushes and a lot of vegetation, you can start seeing some little imperfections and artifacts coming from it. That's normal, I guess, but it's just something to keep in mind. It's going to be overall a sharper image than with DLSS quality, but with some imperfections here and there. And especially if you slow down the footage, you can actually start noticing a lot of it. Alright, kill these guys over here. There we go. I wish we could repeat bosses in this one. Is there a way to do that? That's the experience with frame generation. See that, by the way, when I was changing to this fiery boy form, the frame time graph went a little bit crazy. It thickened up, kind of, right? So... yeah, that's something weird. It's that weird thing that happens whenever you change forms or use some spells that have some more bigger effects, yes. So I'm gonna stop it there for these settings, and I think for 4K resolution I will use Hardware Unboxed optimized settings for performance instead of quality, because they are quite a bit better when it comes to FPS. You know, they will improve your FPS by quite a lot. And you know what? I will also do that at 1440p resolution. Okay, let's try the performance preset at 1440p as well. I'm gonna turn off the frame generation, set this to the performance preset by Hardware Unboxed, which has this on medium, cinematic, high, cinematic, medium. This is on high right here, this is on medium, and this is on high. So quite a lot of things changed. Some things are still on cinematic. These settings don't really impact FPS, so just leave them at maximum. And that's it. Pedro foi às compras comprar polvo alagareiro. I'm just testing the plosives, by the way, in Portuguese. Okay. Also, I'm not sure if it will come through in this video. It probably will, like a couple of times here and there in the microphone. The wind gets picked up fairly easily. Of course, that will depend on the position of the microphone as well. So they could use a little bit of a windshield. That would be great, like this. But that looks way too stupid, so I'm not gonna use it. By the way, that's not their windshield. It's just one that I have here with me. Start counting our FPS. This is now at native resolution with their performance targeted settings, and you can see that the shadow quality at the distance especially takes quite a bit of a hit here to the quality. Look at that. I don't really like that, but it makes the gameplay smoother, of course. I'm gonna go to the beginning, actually, and I'm gonna try fighting the big-headed guy. I heard that that's a very difficult boss, actually. Ooh, the change in lighting there. Pretty weird. So I'm probably gonna die very fast. Okay, let's do this. Aha, I got you, boy. And now I'm gonna go with this guy. Come on. There we go. Look at that. Look at me go. Still dropping sometimes into the 50s. I guess whenever you see like 80 to 90 FPS most of the time, or on average, I guess, it will drop down into the 50s and even 40s apparently. Yeah, oh my gosh, dude. If you are playing without frame generations and so on. Oh my. Okay, yes, this guy is pretty hard actually. I don't know what he does, but he's very strong. Look at that. Come on, come on. Now, statue him. Let's go. Okay, with the statue thingies, I think I actually am able to do this, but come on, get out. No. Yeah. Oh boy. Shoot him in the ass! Actually, don't shoot him. This is not a shooter game. What the hell am I talking about? Yeah. No, go away. I'm dead. Alright, so that's it. With some effects, it still drops from 60 FPS, which is a bit of a shame once again. And I think I'm gonna try it now with 67% resolution scale, which is DLSS quality. And, ooh, now we're up into the 100s. We gained about 30 frames per second. That's quite a good experience now, probably aside from those 1% lows because of traversal stuttering once again. It happens every single time in the same place. 120s. This is native FPS as well, not with the input lag of frame generation, which again at 100 plus FPS feels just fine in this game anyways. Please get out. Sometimes I'm pressing space and he does nothing, so it's kind of hard. Gosh, this game. Come on! I want the easy mode! Release it already so I can pass this boss. FPS don't really seem to be dropping from 60 frames anymore, even from 70 frames actually. So that's great. What was that? Did you tell the water to kill me or something? Like, he wasn't even looking at me. It's so unfair, guys, this game. Oh my goodness. Anyway, at least you see that we can get a very high refresh rate experience like this. And if you enable DLSS frame generation on top of DLSS quality, I didn't do it previously, but yeah, you can guess it gets even higher frames per second, higher refresh rate experience, although now you're dealing with the lower resolution from DLSS quality and the more noisy look and pixelation and artifacts from the frame generation at the same time. And I think since it can actually handle it just fine with one of the technologies at once, there's no need to utilize both of them at the same time. Alright guys, here we go. 4K resolution using DLSS, 100% resolution scale, no frame generation, same settings as before. And ooh. I mean, I actually liked the RTX 4070 Super for 4K gaming. I made an entire video on that. It did pretty well, usually with DLSS quality at like 80 FPS in most titles, 4K high settings as well, or ultra settings even. But here, yeah, this is way too intensive, as you can see. You know what? Let's call the fiery boy. Oh, it drops into the 30s to like 30 FPS flat, actually. It might drop down from 30 frames per second, even though we're getting like close to 50 FPS average most of the time. As soon as you do one of those spells with a lot of effects, it just gets wrecked, guys. I really hope the developers see this and try to fix this, because look at that. Like, for example, whenever the fiery boy is going away, there aren't really any major effects going on, and it still drops things like crazy. It's really weird. It's an optimization issue, right? It can only be. Let's stop it right there. That took too long already at native resolution, and you shouldn't really play at native resolution with this GPU and 4K. And let's try it with 67%, which is quality DLSS. And it gets us back to those 80s. Well, at least at times. And since we're seeing 70s, we already know that it will probably drop from 60 FPS whenever the fiery boy gets into play. But it's not the end of the world. Once again, it might drop down to like the mid-40s, low 50s at times, in worst case scenarios. Most of the time it should stay above 60 FPS, as you can see. It feels very smooth indeed, and this coupled with frame generation is probably where it starts to shine a little bit more here at 4K. The base FPS were already good enough, so there's not major input lag. 4K resolution is super high res, of course, so the PPI will still be good with these settings. 67% resolution scale doesn't look bad. Frame generation artifacts won't be as noticeable as they were before, and yeah, we're getting now 80 FPS. It might still drop though, since it's 80 FPS that we're seeing, not like 90 or 100. So yeah guys, if you are playing at 4K res, I think these are probably the adequate settings. Maybe with 50% resolution scale as well for performance DLSS, if you don't want the frame time graph to be like that. At least it doesn't drop from 60 FPS, you know. But you can feel those slowdowns in the frame time graph for sure whenever that happens. It's not too noticeable though, once again, so you can get by with them still. Anyway, yeah, it's a solid experience, although again, not the most stable one. So for that, I will actually utilize 50% resolution scale with frame generation at the same time. And that gives us slightly higher FPS once again. It should give us like 10, 15 more frames. It's smoother now for sure. Input lag is a little bit reduced at the same time as well. And fighting those bastards with a lot of effects should be slightly smoother. But yeah, FG is probably needed for you to achieve 60 plus FPS all of the time at this resolution. I'm gonna turn it off. The DLSS performance, yeah, oof, it's actually really smooth and responsive this way though. I'm not sure what I would utilize. It's either this or DLSS quality plus FG, and I think this is probably a little bit more stable. It will drop from 60 FPS inevitably with the fiery boy again, but it's not to the point where I would care too much Oh, I'm dead. At least I got a tiny piece of gold there. Alright, let's start counting the FPS again. I'm gonna tackle the boss here at DLSS performance. Also, DLSS performance at 4K resolution using these settings still looks very good, indeed, aside from the shadow render distance, which is crap. But yeah, it actually is pretty decent in terms of clarity. It is a tad over sharpened, though you can tell that it's not really native resolution, but if you sit far away from your monitor, it's going to be absolutely fine. Even close to your monitor, it's going to be absolutely fine, honestly. Alright, let's go. Let's try to do this. Yeah, 60 FPS there. Okay, didn't drop too far. And obviously 60 FPS is more than playable for a game like this, especially with a controller. So just go for it. I think you're gonna have fun and a good experience with this GPU, even at 4K res. Come on, come on. Almost dead. He's almost dead. So am I. So am I. My God. I need healing. I need healing. Let's go. Oh boy. Okay. I'm fine. I'm fine. Let's attack that bastard from behind. No. No. You. Why are you so fast sometimes? Let's go. I'm almost doing it, guys. I'm almost doing it. Gosh. Okay, okay. It's now. It's now. Yeah, look at that. He now transforms. He is even stronger this time. Probably with better attacks. I haven't really stood alive for long enough to know that. And I am out of regeneration potions. So, yeah. I'm done right now. I'm gonna die. I'm somehow still alive, though. I don't even know how. Come on, come on. I want to go. Regenerate stamina at least. He didn't allow me. 59 FPS, 1% lows, and 89 average. Quite good, actually. Better than I expected using these settings. Okay, now we're back to the targeted resolution of this GPU, 1440p, and we're using DLSS 100%, DLAA, native res, very high full ray tracing, which is path tracing basically, super demanding, okay, and the same performance targeted settings from Hardware Unboxed, or optimized settings as well, and well, yeah, at native resolution, just forget about path tracing, obviously. It's way too intensive, right? Oh my God, 20s. I guess you could call it very cinematic this time around, actually. Because it was getting 24 FPS there at the beginning. It does look fantastic. It fixes the issues with the shadow render distance and so on, as you can see in this area. Yeah, there are no shadow popping issues or anything. It is pretty insane looking, in my opinion, right now, but again, you kind of need a 4090 if you want path tracing in this title. Even the 4080 Super struggled a lot unless you were using DLSS performance plus frame generation to achieve like 60s, 70s, and 80s with a lot of input lag. It's just not ideal. I'm just gonna move on and try DLSS quality next. Okay, so let's set it to 67%. Frame generation is turned off, and alright, starting to get a little bit playable, although with 50s and 40s I think it will still struggle a little whenever we do this. Right? Yep, dropping down into the low 30s is definitely not ideal. So that's the full path tracing experience after all. I didn't expect it to be playable anyways. Yeah, it's normal, I guess. Path tracing is still a long time from being mainstream. Even ray tracing is, quite honestly, right? It's still super intensive. Not a lot of GPUs can run it very well. So yeah, I feel like it's always a little bit of a disappointment when I test ray tracing in this title, because it's just so hard to run even without it. So yeah, using RT is just out of the question. Although here, with DLSS quality plus frame generation, things aren't too bad. It's getting 70s and 80s. It will drop into the 50s probably, and whenever it happens, forget about your good input lag or decent input lag that we're getting at the moment. It's not terrible, right? It's definitely very passable, actually, with Nvidia Reflex. But yeah, whenever it drops from 60 FPS or even close to 60 FPS, it will just wreck your experience in terms of that responsiveness. It won't be responsive at all, so I don't recommend it. It might look good on paper, you get 80 FPS average, but yeah, it sounds good. In reality, it doesn't feel that great. So that's enough for path tracing. I'm gonna go up to 100% resolution scale, turn this off, and use medium ray tracing instead. And I'm also going to restart the game. And we're back here, 1440p, same settings, native resolution with ray tracing on, but on medium this time. And it's way less intensive. Instead of getting those cinematic 24, 23 FPS in this particular area, we're up into the 30s. Unfortunately, as you know, that means that we will get lower FPS than this whenever fighting happens, boss fights, or you throw some spells, whatever. Yeah, it's not amazing. Why am I so low HP already? Like, what the heck? I just spawned. Ray tracing medium still looks really impressive in terms of that shadow quality at the distance, lighting quality. Pretty much, it is a step above what we saw with the optimized settings, right? It improves things by quite a lot, but again, it gets 30s, so it's not ideal. It will drop into the 20s, so I'm gonna stop it once again and try it with some upscalers, because you'll need it when playing with ray tracing. Let's try the quality setting first. And now we're up into the 60s. This is very similar performance at the moment what we saw previously without ray tracing and the optimized for quality settings at native 1440p resolution. So it's good that with just a little bit of DLSS quality we can get a similar experience to that, although over here we were still seeing 60s because this particular area is a bit more intensive. Not gonna spend a lot of time here testing ray tracing because I really don't feel like you should utilize it with a 4070 Super. It sucks to say this, guys. I know this is an expensive GPU. It should be capable of playing games with ray tracing. It has better ray tracing performance than like a 3080 Ti and 3090, which were the best GPUs from last generation. And in terms of raw performance, it's very similar to those, if you're wondering. But yeah, it's still not enough to play something like Black Myth Wukong at decent FPS, or at 60 plus FPS, I mean, all of the time with DLSS quality at 1440p, unfortunately. Still, enabling some frame generation on top of DLSS quality won't make things look that bad. And look at that, now we're up into the 90s, almost 100s. I wish to have seen better frame generation from this game as well. Because again, in some games it will actually double your FPS, but in this one we're getting, what, like 30 more frames? Yeah, sometimes it gets close to doubling that here with ray tracing, but yeah, we're back down into the 80s. Oh my god, major stuttering. Also with ray tracing, you not only get the traversal stuttering, but you also get slightly more stuttering issues here and there. It will happen more often than without ray tracing enabled. It's just how UE5 runs basically with RT. Alright, I lost half of my HP there. That sucks. Okay, let's go with this guy now. There we go. Weird frame time graph once again, but not dropping from 60 or 70 FPS even. So it stays quite stable, actually. Come on. There we go. Good stuff. Let's go again. Let's go. Yes! Oh, I'm dead. Oh, God, that was a really fast one. But yeah, it's surprisingly smooth like this. It doesn't look bad like this, but I would still avoid it because of those little slowdowns and more stuttering issues than normal with ray tracing. It's good to see that at least the 4070 Super can actually handle RT fine-ish. That's been it. Thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks to Meze Audio for sponsoring us today as well. Don't forget to check out their link in the description, and I'll catch you in the next one very soon. As always, love you all. Bye-bye.